It's the most wonderful time of the year. The newest Black Fleet has sailed into World of Warship Legends. I've always found the Black Fleet ships to be visually striking and among the best looking ship camos in the game. This year brings us the Exeter Le Terrible and my favorite ship in history, the Graf Spee. In addition, this year's unicorn ship, at least that's what I call it, is the Massachusetts B. It's the one that's going to be a bit more rare and requires some crate gambling in order to obtain it. Today's video will give you a brief breakdown of each ship, show them off in all of their glory. So sit back, relax, and let's look at these ships together to see if they're worth bringing to your port. So, we're going to do a quick rundown of each ship, but before we do, I think it is important to point out that while these ships have the B designation in their name, they are identical in stats to their counterparts. It very simply means that it's a Black Fleet ship. It came out at a special time of the year with a special flag and a special camo. That is it. To recap for you guys, Year 1 brought the Atlanta B, Warspite, and the Scharnhorst Black. Year 2, the Mutsu, Bliskawisa, Indianapolis, and the Otago was the unicorn ship. And now this year is the Exeter Graf Spee Le Terrible and Big Mamie Black. When looking at the stats of these ships, I do want to point out that these comparisons are of the ships that I have. I'm not the ultimate whale, and I don't have every tech tree ship at this time, so keep that in mind. There might be a couple ships here or there that could outpace the ships that I'm talking about, but just take it with a grain of salt. Let's start things off with the Exeter B, which is really one that I was very excited for. I didn't have the ship before, I didn't play it before, but it's pretty darn cool. She is at tier 5 and is a British premium cruiser. She comes equipped with 203mm guns, and the AP shells pack quite a punch at 4,800 damage apiece. Reload is around 10.8 seconds. I set her up while playing her with an AP shell style build, as the HE seemed a little lackluster to me, and the slow reload doesn't make for a great fire spammer. Health point wise, she is dead center in the pack and quite average. 29,000 health. The two heals do help a little bit, and they're worth around 4,000 health apiece. The armor is nearly non-existent, so just don't get shot. Guns are definitely her strong point. The big 203s have the second highest AP damage per shell, behind the Graf Spee at 4,873. The HE shells hit hard too, 2850. They're the third best at the tier that I have, and the fire chance is 15%. You could definitely use Bruce Fraser to pump those numbers up another 5% easily if you were into that. She has 6 torps. They can be single-fired, British style, and they have good damage potential at nearly 16,000 per torpedo. This is one of the best torpedo damages at the tier for cruisers. Her top speed is meh, 33 knots, but the turning circle is fantastic and rudder shift as well. She's really agile and fun to play. Quite a delight, really. She handles well, turns tight, and you could possibly do an agile build. Although with 2 smoke screens, I might question how useful that is. It's easy to park, sit in your smoke, kind of like the Leander, Fiji, Edinburgh style play. Concealment is nearly the best in class at 10.5 with no modules or inspirations, so very good concealment. You can be quite sneaky. Another one of the selling points, and something to keep in mind when you see this ship, is the 5.1 kilometer sonar. Nearly German-esque. You can really surprise destroyers and put a hurting on them if they aren't paying attention. The Graf Spee is next, and it is a German tier 5 premium and is utterly unique. She has 2 Scharnhorst gun turrets plopped on the top and the best cruiser health pool at the tier. Historically, she's one of my favorite ships. I love hearing about the endeavors of Captain Hans Langsdorff and the Deutschland cruiser in her illustrious career. In-game, now we can enjoy her with this fantastic camo. At nearly 40,000 HP, it's easily the best in class. Throw on the Azure Lane Commander, Graf Spee, and 3 heals that are good for 5,700 apiece, and this thing can be quite tanky. But being only 19mm over most of the ship, you can get pounded by battleships, so consider avoiding ships that are bigger than you. The 283mm Sharny guns are great. They have the best in class AP damage at 8800 and the second best HE shells behind the Ayoba. The main drawback of Graf Spee, I would say, is the German dispersion that you get at times, just like Scharnhorst, and a 20-second reload that cuts your DPM way down. The fire chance of 20% is actually pretty decent. And the torpedoes, you have 8 533mm torps. They reach 8 kilometers. Pretty powerful and decent range. It makes you a threat to those pushing into you or those that get close enough to you. They are kind of rear-facing launch angles, so keep that in mind. AA rating is 44, which is pretty low for cruisers at the tier. Turning circle is great for a big boy, but the top speed is the worst in class. Concealment is very good actually for such a big ship, but that is because I spec into it and use perks with Graf Spee. She has a special perk called Ghost, and I even use Makawa on here to drop it down a little bit more. Graf Spee is equipped with the best sonar at tier 5, German sonar. It will spot ships at 5.3 kilometers. Moving on, and we find ourselves at the Le Terrible. It is a tier 6 French destroyer that has been out for quite a while now, but is still one of the fan favorites. A French destroyer, she doesn't have any smoke, and I think she has a pretty high skill cap to play correctly. Starting with the health points, it's nearly the best at the tier, only being edged out by the Z39. On my setup, it's over 20,000. She has some great guns, big 139mm guns that reload in 5 seconds. Every HE shell hits for around 2000 apiece, and there's a 10% fire chance, so that's also among the best at the tier. The HE DPM is 6th best overall, 5th best for AP. So the reload and the shell alpha, it's a pretty hard hitting ship, and you definitely have to respect the guns. On that note, they also have a really good firing range, 11.5 kilometers, which was the best at tier 6, partially owed to the fact that we're using sidestep on the commander that we have on there, Louise Violette, I believe. Moving on, she has 9 torpedoes. They have the highest damage at tier 6, 18,400, without any special perks or anything like that. There are 9 of them, but pay special attention that 2 of them are wing mounted. There's only 1 in the middle. So you'll have to turn the ship to get a full salvo off. You could do 6 on one side, but you'll have to turn to get the other 3 off, kind of like the Mahan if you've played up the American gunboat line. Torpedo reload is also incredibly good. 77 seconds. That's pretty darn fast, especially with such a high damage. They also reach 8 kilometers, and they do 69 knots in the water. So you put all of this together, and these are arguably the best overall torpedoes at tier 6. They're very, very good. The reaction time is also okay. It's not as bad as some of the Japanese destroyers like Shiratsuyu and Akatsuki. Doing the reaction time calculation, it was just a little lower than the middle, but some of the numbers are so close that it probably doesn't matter. The one huge downfall of Le Terrible is her AA rating. It's 8. Basically, if you're getting focused by a carrier, there's a fat chance that you're even going to shoot one plane down. So that makes you very susceptible to the fun police. And you don't have smokes, so keep that in mind. Try to keep teammates close by and have an exit plan. There were several games that I had here recently that the carrier just kind of latched onto me, and it almost just can take you out of the game entirely. There's no way to get rid of them except going near teammates and trying to use their AA to get the carrier off of you. Speed. Le Terrible is only outclassed by the Leningrad. Base speed on my setup was 43 knots. That was without a speed booster. But hit the nitrous and you'll jump up to 46 or 47 knots, and that is one fast baguette. Concealment was also near the best in class at 5.4 kilometers on my setups, and that was with a very high level bay. So overall, a fun ship, kind of difficult to play, and the carriers will absolutely ruin your fun. Last but not least is what I call the king of battleships in World of Warship Legends, My opinion, of course, but Big Mamie is definitely among the best Tier 7 battleships in the game, hands down. Survivability-wise, 69,000 HP is near the top. The guns hit like a truck with nearly the highest AP damage at the tier, and they are reliable and accurate. That's the big thing. One of the reasons American battleships are so good in this regard is their special mod in slot 4 called Artillery Plotting Room that reduces dispersion by 11%. Couple that with Mamie's secondary battery, they are super accurate, more so than the Bismarcks, and they also reach 8.4 kilometers without inspirations. Big Mamie also has one of the best torpedo belts in the game, only outclassed by maybe Yamato and Alabama. The Massachusetts will soak up 50% of the damage from torpedoes that hit on the belt. I have made other videos about the Massachusetts, so I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail here, but what I will point out is that she's different from the other 3 ships we just talked about up there, because you cannot simply purchase her like the others. She's what I call the unicorn ship and can only be collected in a Black Friday crate. So that means in order to get her, you're going to have to do a little bit of gambling, and only you can decide if having that special black camo is worth it or not. Keeping that in mind, know that there is still the normal version of the Massachusetts available for 750,000 global XP as of the making of this video. Really quickly, I'm going to put up on the screen the drop rates for the Black Friday 2021 crates so that you guys can see them. Now keep in mind there is a new container system out where you are guaranteed to receive one of these 4 ships in your 40th container if you were unlucky. Anytime you would get a ship, the counter is reset, basically. It says on the website that if you already have one of the ships, that the weight for the remaining ships goes up. Basically, so if you have the Graf Spee and Exeter B and you're still going through the crates, then basically the drop chance would get higher for the remaining ships since you already have 2 of the other ships. I kind of hope that makes sense. I tell you what, I'm just going to leave a link to this page in the description below. You can come read through it, look at it, and definitely decide before you go hunting the Massachusetts B, as the base drop rate is 0.5 percentage point. So yeah, keep that in mind. Let me know in the comments down below which Black Friday ships you guys might just be buying outright. I would love to hear from you guys. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe for future content if you are interested in learning more about World of Warships Legends on the console. Alright guys, see ya!